All right. If you still have a paper, go turn it in the top slide.
Man, don't come here with your Stole that money from your mom. Okay. It's like she got You got 50 cents. I really want to pick that up first. You give me a penny, I'll be glad with that. So bad, dude.
Right, good.
This is recording. This is a big one. Hey, Keep it trying to call you the dog. Leave me alone. I'm trying to go sleep. No, I'm trying to do that now.
Exactly why y'all don't have recess.
Let's go to the bathroom. I just don't understand why y'all can't just sit down and be quiet like regular people. So we can go.
Boy, look at that. That's fat. That fat meat you got, boy. Did it on purpose. Did it on purpose. I swear to God. Get out my face.
He got my candy and do
Well, you can take okay. Hey, shut up, Stan. Ain't nobody even talking. You shut up to me.
No.
You see the hair? Spicy. Hey, man. Oh, it's a warning.
You'll put a check on it.
I ain't even doing that.
See Miss Weave. I forgot what she told you.
What about him? What did he do?
Okay, we're gonna go over the correct answers to the quiz before you take your test today. No, I don't wanna hear it. We are not talking. You understand me? No, you don't need, you see anybody else with theirs? No. Tell Miss Clark if she wants to log in, she can log in so she can see what I'm doing. Other than that, go.
Excuse me, all hosts and hostesses should be in the gym at this time. All hosts and hostesses should be in the gym at this time. Thank you.
Nothing should be on your desk. Turn around, Tori. You'll be all right. Would you stop? You don't have to act like that. Everybody needs to have one board. Mercedes, did I ask you to start of that? Huh? Baby, it is okay. Why are you worried about that? I don't think you wrote it because I already know what's on it. You ready to go back to your class? I said stop talking. Stop talking means stop talking. All right, everybody should have a marker. All right, now, let's look at problem number one. I want you to work out problem number one. I want you to make me two charts. One chart for Dennis and one chart for Jalen. That's all I want you to do. One chart for Dennis and one chart for Jalen.
You're racist.
One for Dennis and one for Jalen. That's all I want you to do.
Dennis.
Keisha, please stop. I said make a chart, not a number line. I said a chart. Do you know what a chart is? Like a table. One for Dennis and one for Jalen. Just keep this. Every two people should have a rag. What?
Eight the following students in the gym: Jamila King, Shania Brown, Precious Odom, Shantrice Claiborne, not sure this one may be in there. If she's not, I need her. Chandria Lockridge.
All right, so let's look at what you should have for your chart. All right, it says Dennis ran 3 miles in 20 minutes. All right, so what is our ratio? 3 to 20. What is our next ratio?
6 to 30.
20 doesn't go 20, 30. 20 goes 20, 40.
Oh.
And then our next ratio will be what?
9, 6.
960.
Ooh.
And 60 minutes make an hour, right? Okay. The next person is Jalen. Jalen's ratio is what? 6 to 30. The next ratio will be what?
12.
12 to what?
6.
60. All right. So I'm going to compare an hour, right? 60 minutes is an hour. So I'm going to compare. Dennis runs 9 miles in an hour. Jalen runs 12 miles in an hour. So that's the first sentence. Dennis will run 9 miles in an hour. Jalen will run 12 miles in an hour. Now, who's going to run further? Jalen. So Jalen runs how many miles further? 3 miles further than who? Dennis. Okay, that's the answer to number 1. Right? Jalen runs 3 miles further than Dennis. Okay, we can only compare numbers that are the same. 60 minutes, 60 minutes. We can't compare 20 minutes and 30 minutes because it's not the same. You always compare the same quantities, 1 hour. That's what we're going to compare. All right, number 2. Mr. Cooley subscribes to a monthly magazine. It costs him $72 for an 18-month subscription. How will we write that as a ratio? Write that on your board as a ratio, as a fraction. I want you to write it in fraction form. Right? It costs him $72 for an 18-month subscription. Write that on your board as a fraction. All right. What should that look like?
72.
All right. 72 divided by 18. Right? Now, what is $72 divided by 18? What is 72 divided by 18? 4. So your rate is $4 per magazine. All right. So let's look at our true false questions. Divide 18 by 72. Is that what we did? No, we did what? Divide 72 by 18. 72 divided by 18. So A is false. The ratio of cost to number of magazines is 72 to 18. Is that a true statement? True. Number 3, each magazine costs $4. True. The last one, Mr. Cooley pays $15 for 3. How many will he pay for 3? $4 times 3 magazines will be $12. So that is a false statement. All right. So false, true, true, false. False, true, true, false. Okay. You have to make sure if you would just write down the parts that you know, you will get the answers correct. You just got to make sure you do your part. Any questions on number 1 or number 2? Now, I have shown you, put that on your list. I have shown you how to make a ratio table. I have shown you how to divide to make a rate. Those 2 things are not hard to do. You just have to read it and do as it asks you to do. Would you stop? All right. So that's RP3A. That's using equivalent ratios in a table and finding the rate. All right. The next 2 problems. Or the next 3. All right. The first problem says a market sells 7 oranges for $2.45. How much will 8 oranges cost? All right. So how would you write that ratio? What would you write? As a fraction. Write that ratio as a fraction. Okay. What would you have? No. How would you write that as a fraction?
7.
No.
2.45 over 7.
$2.45 divided by 7. All right, so let's do that. How many 7s are in 24?
3.
I see. 3, 2, 21.
You put 4 to 8 for me 5.
Yep.
Okay. How many 7s are in 35? All right, so this means 35 cents per orange. Okay. Your question says, how much will 8 cost? Well, you know how much 1 costs. So to find out how many 8 will cost, what will we do?
35.
Multiply by 8. So,
For 8.
okay. So if you get 35 cents per orange, you multiply that by 8 to get the cost for 8 oranges. $2.80. Don't do that, please. Put my marker. I have to buy these. I can't buy markers for y'all to color with. Now, if you want to buy your own and color, that's fine, but you can't color with mine. All right. Now, the reason why I want you to work these out is because you're going to have to work them out on the test, right? So if you can't work them out at your desk, you're not going to work them out on the test. All right. Erase that one and let's look at number 4. Gabriel, erase it correctly. A chef is using vinegar for a salad dressing recipe. She has 2 cups of vinegar. She knows there are 8 ounces in 1 cup and 2 tablespoons in 1 ounce. How many tablespoons are in 2 cups of vinegar? All right. So 2 cups equal how many ounces?
16.
How do you know?
Because 2 times.
Because each could
2 times 8 is.
Each cup is 8, and 2 times 8 is 16. All right, so 2 cups is 16 ounces. So we're looking at 16 ounces, and we need to know how many tablespoons that is, right? We know that 2 tablespoons equal 1 ounce. All right, how many ounces do we have?
16.
So we're looking for that number. Okay. So what do you think we need to do?
Multiply 2 times 16.
Multiply 2 times 16 because it takes 2 of them to make an ounce. We got 16 ounces. So we multiply this
32.
times 16. We got to multiply this times 16. Okay. That's all we had to do. Okay. Are you ready? All right, 32 teaspoons is 16 ounces. Question. All right, this right here is just a proportion. Just set it up. We finding the missing number. How do you find the missing number? Either multiply or divide by the same thing. That's how you find equivalent fractions. That's it. Or equivalent ratios. Turn around, son. Equivalent ratios. The board is here. Okay, that's how you find equivalent ratios. All right, number 5. Kara has a piece of ribbon that is 24 inches long. She knows that this piece of ribbon is 2 feet long. All right, so we had to do a double number line there. Now, what comes in between 2 whole numbers? Think about it. What come in between a whole?
A half.
Got to be a half, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So they gave you this one. They put 1 here and they put 2 here. So what comes in between 1 and 2?
1 and a half.
1 and a half. What comes after 2?
2 and a
2
half.
and a half. Then comes 3. Then comes
3 and a half.
3 and a half. Then comes
4.
then comes 4 and a half. Then 5.
5.
All right. So at the top, they told you a half. 1 and a half was 18. So what would 1 be?
12.
Feet.
That's 12.
Well, Because 2 would be what? 24. 2 and a half would be 2 and a half would be what? 30. Then 3 would be
36.
then 42. Then 48, 54, and 60. Okay, that's all you had to do. Because 1 foot is what? 12 inches. Okay. All right. The last page is on percent. The last page is on percent. All right. Zaire deposits 20% of the money that she earns each week in a savings account. If she earns $85 each week, how much money will she deposit each week? All right. So what do we know?
It's 20 over 100.
She gonna deposit 20% of the money. What does of mean?
Subtract.
No.
No, wait. No, it be multiply.
Okay, so 20% of the money. How much money does she earn?
85.
85. So you got 20% of 85. And y'all said that of means what? Multiply. How do you write 20% as a fraction?
20
over
100.
How do you write 85 as a fraction?
85 over 1.
Okay. Now, 100 times 1 is what?
100.
100.
85 times 20.
18,000. Wait, 1,800.
Do that again. 85 times 20.
1,600. 17. What? 60.
What is you got? 1,700. Good.
1,700.
Okay. Now, remember I told you the easy way to do this is to cancel out the zeros at the bottom, cancel out the zeros at the top, and we got $17. So she's going to deposit $17 per week. All right, number 7. Greg practiced playing his clarinet for 12 minutes. He has practiced 40% of the amount of time he needs to practice today. How many more minutes does Greg need to practice today? Now, I'm going to show you a trick to this. Okay. If he has already practiced 40%, how many percent does he need to practice? 60, right? Because 40 plus 60 makes 100. Okay. So 60 out of 100 equals 12 out of what?
1.
No. All right. How do we go from 60 to 12?
5.
Divide by 5, right? So if I divide this by 5, I have to divide this by 5, right?
12
12 over 5.
And this is what?
20.
So is that correct?
No.
No. So why does that not work? Oh, because 60% is not 12. That is 40%, that's 12. All right, so we can't do that. All right. So let's do it this way. 12 is 40%. So we got 20%, 60%, 80%, and 100%. All right. So if 12 is 40, what is 20? If 12 is 40%, what would be 20%?
6.
How much? 6. Because half of 40 is 20, so half of 12 is 6, right? So at the top, we're gonna go by 60. 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30, right? So he practiced 30 minutes total, right? He's already practiced 12. So how many more does he need to practice?
40. 12.
He needs to practice 30. He's already practiced 12. So how many more minutes does he need to practice? How many more? What does that mean? How many more? How many more? Subtract. How many more? That's a subtraction. That's not an add. My thing is, if you want to know how many more, why would you add 12 and 30? Because you're going to get 42. So that wouldn't work because the total is 30. So how many more? How much less? How much farther? Any of those means subtract. So 30 take away 12 is 18 minutes. He needs to practice 18 more minutes. All right, the last one. Lanaya planted seeds to grow pansies, snapdragons, and petunias.
I need to go to market.
This is the last one. We're not getting into more. Pansies, snapdragons, and petunias. All right. So what we have to do is make a fraction for all of those. All right. Now, what are our pansies? What is our ratio for pansies?
18 over 40.
18 out of 40. What about snapdragons
20 over 50.
and petunias?
12 over 55.
Okay, 14 out of 25. Kenny. All right, now in order for us to get a percentage, we have to know how much this is out of 100. Don't do that, Alice. All right, now can 40 go into 100?
Yes.
40 can go into 100? No. All right, so let's reduce it. Okay, what can go into 18 and 40? What's the easiest number that can go into 18 and 42?
2.
Okay, so that will be what?
That's gonna be 20.
Now, all of these can go into 100, right?
Yes.
50 can go into 100, 25 can go into 100, 20 can go into 100. Now we just need to see how many times. Okay. All right, 20 times what is 100? 5. So 9 times 5 is?
That is 45.
50 times what is 100?
2.
So 21 times 2 is what?
20.
42.
25 times what is 100? Can you stop talking?
4.
So 14 times 4 is what?
56.
Now, it says you have to make a chart of least to greatest, right? So what's the least percentage?
8.
Snapdragon. What's next? Pansies. And the other one is petunias. Okay. Those are the percentages from least to greatest of the plants that will grow. So that's all you have to do. Make a fraction, set that fraction equal to 100. If the bottom number cannot go into 100, what do you have to do? Don't do that, Gabe. I'm not gonna tell you again. Don't do it. Quit looking at him. Be quiet. Don't do that. All right. Any questions?
No.
All right, Mercedes, get that, get this bag right here and put those markers in. Baby, right here, take all the rags up and put in that green bag. I'll take up the board. Maya, don't write on my boards like that. If y'all wanna write, y'all find y'all own boards to write on. Don't use my stuff. You got stuff you're supposed to have. You too.
I should have.
Now, put y'all this back in line. Thomas, mix it up. Those markers. He threw it on the floor.
Miss Foxy talking about you. She said she don't have it. Stop lying. Oh God.
Baby, let me tell y'all, what y'all be talking about don't amount to a hill of beans. I got my degree. It don't matter what my hair looks like. I make my money every month. So I'm not worried about what you're talking about.
I'm talking about pussy. You can't talk about nobody hair.
Be quiet. Just be quiet. Y'all worried about getting out the 6th grade. That's gonna be y'all struggle. Getting out the 6th grade. And it's gonna be okay, because you're gonna come back next year and you're gonna do better. Be quiet. All right, everybody else, we're gonna do multiplication, okay?